Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me carefully, especially you. Yes, the one who watched the door close and still stood there, waiting for the sound of footsteps returning. This is for you. You held your breath for words that never came, carried forgiveness in your hands like an offering to someone who never asked for it, and built entire architectures of understanding around silence. But I want you to know something. Peace was never on the other side of their apology. It was always inside you, waiting to be claimed. I've spent my life building rockets, electric cars, neural interfaces, things that seem impossible until they're not. But the hardest thing I've ever tried to understand isn't physics or engineering, it's this. Why brilliant, powerful, deeply loving people chain themselves to the hope that someone else will finally say the words that set them free. Why we condition ourselves to believe that closure comes from outside, from the mouth of the person who hurt us, instead of from the decision we make inside our own minds. You know what I'm talking about. You felt it in your chest every time your phone lit up, and it wasn't them. You rehearsed conversations in the shower, crafted perfect responses to apologies that existed only in your imagination. You told yourself you were being patient, being mature, being the bigger person. But underneath all that grace was a question that kept you up at night. What did I do wrong that made me unworthy of an apology? Nothing. The answer is nothing. The world taught you a terrible lie. It told you that your worth is measured by how others respond to you. That if someone hurts you and doesn't apologize, it means something about you, your value, your importance, your right to be treated with dignity. Society wrapped this lie in beautiful language about forgiveness and moving on, but it never told you the most important part. You can't move on while you're still standing at their door, waiting for permission to heal. I think about this often when I look at Mars. We're trying to make life multiplanetary not because Earth is doomed, but because waiting for perfection is the enemy of progress. If we waited for the perfect rocket, the perfect technology, the perfect moment, we'd never leave the ground. Sometimes you have to accept that the conditions will never be ideal, that the answer you're waiting for will never come, and you have to launch anyway.
You're standing on a launch pad right now. The rocket is fueled. The trajectory is calculated. The only thing holding you back is the belief that you need clearance from someone who's already left the control room.
Think about what waiting has cost you, not just time, though God knows you've given enough of that. I'm talking about the invisible tax, the mental energy spent analyzing their silence, searching for hidden meanings in their social media posts, wondering if they think about you at all. The emotional bandwidth consumed by imagining scenarios where they finally understand, finally feel remorse, finally become the person you needed them to be. That energy could have built empires, could have created art, could have healed wounds you didn't even know you were carrying. Instead, it's been funneled into a black hole of hope that pulls everything in and gives nothing back. I know this because I've been there. Not waiting for an apology exactly, but waiting for the world to understand what I was trying to build. Waiting for critics to see the vision, waiting for doubters to admit they were wrong. And you know what I learned? The validation I was seeking outside was the very thing preventing me from moving forward inside. Every moment I spent trying to prove something to people who weren't listening was a moment I wasn't spending building the future. The same is true for you. Every day you wait for their apology is a day you're not building your peace. You think the apology is the foundation you need before you can construct a new life, but that's backwards. Peace isn't something you receive. It's something you architect. It's something you engineer. From the raw materials of acceptance, self-worth, and the radical decision to stop outsourcing your emotional freedom. Here's what nobody tells you about apologies. They're often more about the apologizer than the apologized to. When someone finally says sorry, it's usually because their guilt became unbearable, or their conscience caught up, or they needed something from you. It's rarely about your healing. It's about theirs. And when you realize that, you understand why waiting for it is like waiting for a train that's not even on your track. You've been standing on platform 9 3/4, expecting a train from platform 1. The realization I want to share with you. And I know this might sound harsh, but I promise there's liberation in it. Is that the person who hurt you is not thinking about this the way you are. While you've been up at night, replaying conversations, and crafting imaginary dialogues where they finally understand the impact of their actions. They've been living their life. Maybe they feel guilty sometimes. Maybe they don't. Maybe they've rewritten the story in their head so thoroughly that they're the victim now. It doesn't matter. None of it matters to your healing. Because here's the truth that changes everything. Their apology cannot heal your wound. Even if they came to you tomorrow with the perfect words, the exact acknowledgement you've been craving, it wouldn't undo what happened. It might feel good for a moment, like scratching an itch, but the scar would still be there. The time would still be gone. The trust would still be broken. Their apology cannot travel backward through time and protect you from the pain you already experienced. So if their apology can't heal you, what are you really waiting for? Permission to stop hurting. You already have that. Permission to move on. You already have that too. Permission to be angry, to feel betrayed, to acknowledge that what happened was wrong. You don't need anyone else to give you permission to validate your own experience. I think what you're really waiting for is something deeper. You're waiting for confirmation that you mattered, that the relationship meant something, that your pain is significant enough to warrant acknowledgement. You're waiting for proof that you weren't crazy, that the hurt was real, that your version of events is the true one. But listen, and this is crucial. You already have all the proof you need. It's written in every sleepless night. It's documented in every tear. It's evidenced by the fact that you're still here, still processing, still trying to make sense of it. Your pain is its own validation. You don't need a notary public. You don't need a witness. You definitely don't need the person who caused it to sign off on it. When we launched the first Falcon Heavy, we didn't wait for permission from the people who said it couldn't be done. We didn't need the approval of those who called it impossible. We had the physics, we had the engineering, and we had the belief that it was worth trying. And when those boosters landed simultaneously, when the world saw what we'd built, the vindication wasn't in proving the doubters wrong. It was in the achievement itself. The thing existed. That was enough. Your healing exists independent of their acknowledgement. Your truth stands whether they confirm it or not. Your worth isn't determined by how they treat you or whether they ever understand what they did. You are not a theory waiting to be proven. You are a fact. Let me take you deeper into this. There's a concept in physics called the observer effect. The idea that the act of observation changes what's being observed. But your reality doesn't work that way. Your pain doesn't require observation to be real. Your experience doesn't need witnesses to be valid. You don't need someone to see your wound for it to deserve healing. Think about this. Right now, there are stars dying millions of light years away. Supernovas of unimaginable power. Events so cataclysmic they literally forged the elements that make up our bodies. These events are real whether we observe them or not. They don't wait for our telescopes. They don't require our acknowledgement. They simply are. Your experience is like that. It happened. It mattered. It changed you. No apology can make it more real than it already is. I want to talk about silence for a moment, because I think you've been misinterpreting it. You've been treating silence as a question. Why won't they apologize? But silence is actually an answer. It's the clearest answer you could possibly receive. Silence says, I am unwilling or unable to give you what you need. Silence says, I have moved on and I expect you to do the same without my help. Silence says, I am not going to be the person you need me to be. These are hard truths, but they're also liberating truths. Because once you accept what silence is actually telling you, you can stop waiting for it to transform into something else. You can stop checking your phone. You can stop refreshing your email. You can stop hoping that this birthday, this holiday, this anniversary will be the moment they finally reach out. You've been treating their silence like a riddle you need to solve. But it's not a riddle. It's a statement. And the statement is, this is who I am. Believe them. I've learned that the most powerful thing you can do in business, in life, in relationships, is to believe people when they show you who they are the first time. We waste so much energy trying to see potential in people who've already shown us their limits. We exhaust ourselves trying to extract apologies from people who've demonstrated they're incapable of that level of vulnerability or accountability. Imagine if I spent all my time trying to convince fossil fuel companies to care about climate change instead of just building electric cars. Imagine if I waited for NASA to innovate instead of starting SpaceX. Imagine if I tried to get everyone's approval before attempting something new. I'd still be waiting. We'd all still be waiting. You can't negotiate someone into empathy. You can't logic someone into accountability. You can't love someone into emotional maturity. They either have it or they don't. And if they don't, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is accept it and redirect your energy toward your own evolution. Now, I need you to sit with something uncomfortable for a moment. There's a part of you, maybe a small part, maybe a large part, that doesn't actually want the apology. Not really, because the apology would mean closure, and closure would mean truly letting go. And letting go would mean accepting that this chapter is over. As long as you're waiting, there's still a possibility. As long as the wound is fresh, there's still a connection. As long as you're in pain, you're still in relationship with them, even if it's a one-sided relationship built on your suffering. This is the trap. The waiting becomes its own form of loyalty. The pain becomes proof of love. The inability to move on becomes a testament to how much it meant. And somewhere in your mind, you've convinced yourself that healing would be a betrayal. That moving on would mean what happened didn't matter. That finding peace would be the same as saying it was okay. But that's not true. Healing doesn't mean it was okay. Moving on doesn't mean it didn't matter. Finding peace doesn't mean you're letting them off the hook. It just means you're taking yourself off the hook. You're releasing yourself from the prison of waiting. You're paroling yourself from the sentence you've been serving in the hope that they'll show up for the trial. Here's what I want you to understand. You've been playing chess by yourself. You've been making moves, strategizing, thinking 3 steps ahead about what you'll say when they finally come back to the board. But they've left the game. They're not coming back. And you're sitting there alone, surrounded by pieces you're still moving, trying to win a game that's already over. It's time to stand up from the table. Peace, real peace, comes from the decision to stop playing the game. It comes from saying, I don't need your move to make mine. It comes from understanding that closure isn't something someone gives you. It's something you give yourself. It's the decision to close the door they left open, to finish the conversation they abandoned, to write the ending they refused to write with you. You have that power. You've always had it. You just thought you needed permission to use it. Think about what I'm building. With Neuralink, a direct interface between the human brain and computers. The goal isn't to make humans more robotic. It's to enhance our natural capabilities, to help us access the full potential of what's already inside us. Right now, your peace is like that. It's already inside you, waiting to be accessed. You just thought you needed an external device, their apology, to unlock it. But you don't. The interface is already there. You just have to choose to activate it. I've been thinking a lot about time lately, not just in the abstract, theoretical sense that physicists discuss, but in the lived, felt sense of how we experience it. Time is the one resource we can never get back. Not with money, not with technology, not with regret. Every moment you spend waiting for someone else to free you is a moment you're not spending being free. You've given them enough of your time. They got the time when you were together. They got the time when they hurt you. They've gotten all this time since, living rent-free in your head, occupying space in your emotional landscape, consuming your thoughts and energy. How much more are you willing to give? If someone owed me money and refused to pay, I wouldn't spend the rest of my life showing up at their door asking for it. At some point, I'd write it off as a loss and move forward. I'd invest my energy in new ventures, new opportunities, new growth. The same principle applies here. They owe you an apology. They're not going to pay. Write it off, move forward, invest in yourself. I know that sounds cold. I know it sounds like I'm telling you to give up, to let them win, to accept defeat. But that's not what this is. This is strategic retreat. This is choosing your battles. This is understanding that sometimes the most powerful move is to stop fighting for something that was never yours to win. Their accountability is their responsibility, not your mission. Their growth is their journey, not your burden. Their understanding is their work, not your job. You cannot force someone to evolve. You cannot drag someone into awareness. You cannot love someone into being better. You can only love yourself enough to stop waiting for them to be ready. Let me share something with you. When I look at the failures, and there have been many, the rockets that exploded, the production hells, the near bankruptcies, I realize something crucial. The mistakes that hurt the most weren't the ones where we failed. They were the ones where we waited too long to admit failure, where we poured resources into something that wasn't working because we were too invested to let go, where we confused persistence with stubbornness. That's what you're doing. You're pouring resources into something that's not working because you're too invested to let go. You're confusing patience with stubbornness. You're treating waiting as a virtue when it's actually become a prison. Real persistence looks different. Real persistence is when you keep working toward a goal that's within your control. Building a company, developing a skill, healing yourself, these are things you can persist in because you're the primary actor. But waiting for someone else to change, to apologize, to become who you need them to be, that's not persistence. That's hope without agency. That's faith in someone who's already shown you they're not reliable. You wouldn't invest your life savings in a company that consistently showed you it had no viable product. You wouldn't keep going to a restaurant that poisoned you. You wouldn't keep using a phone that didn't work. So why are you investing your emotional capital in someone who consistently shows you they're not going to give you what you need? The answer, I think, is that you've confused waiting with love. You've told yourself that if you really cared, you'd wait. That if it really mattered, you'd be patient. That if you were truly the bigger person, you'd keep the door open. But that's not love. That's self-abandonment. That's prioritizing their potential comfort over your actual peace.
Love. Real love.
The kind worth having doesn't require you to suffer indefinitely. Love doesn't demand that you put your healing on hold. Love doesn't ask you to make yourself small so that someone else doesn't have to grow. If someone loved you the way you deserve to be loved, they wouldn't need you to wait for an apology. They'd already have given it. Here's what transformation looks like. It's the moment you realize that you're not waiting for them anymore. You're waiting for yourself. You're waiting for permission you've been withholding from yourself to be done, to be free, to be at peace without their input. You're waiting for the courage to say, I don't need this anymore. And once you realize that, once you understand that you're the one you've been waiting for, everything changes. Imagine waking up tomorrow, and the first thought in your mind isn't about them. Imagine checking your phone and not hoping to see their name. Imagine going through an entire day without wondering if they think about you, if they regret it, if they miss you. Imagine that feeling of lightness, of freedom, of being fully present in your own life instead of half present in theirs. That's not fantasy. That's available to you right now, today, this moment. Not when they apologize, not when they finally understand, not when justice is served or karma catches up or the universe balances the scales. Right now. All you have to do is decide. Decide that you're done waiting. Decide that your peace matters more than their acknowledgement. Decide that you're going to write the ending yourself, without their input, without their permission, without their participation. This is your rocket launch. This is your moment of ignition. This is when you stop running simulations of a future that requires their cooperation and start building a future that requires only your commitment. I want to tell you about something we learned in the early days of SpaceX. We were trying to recover and reuse rocket boosters, something everyone said was impossible. The traditional approach in aerospace was to build new rockets for every launch. Billions of dollars gone after one use. We believed there had to be a better way. But the technology wasn't there yet. The engineering was complex. The failures were spectacular and expensive. And at some point, we had to make a decision. Keep waiting for the perfect conditions. Or start with what we had and iterate. We chose to iterate. We chose to take what we learned from each failure and build on it. We chose to move forward imperfectly rather than wait forever for perfection. Your situation is similar. You can keep waiting for the perfect apology, the perfect closure, the perfect ending. Or you can take what you've learned from this experience and start building, start iterating on your own peace, start testing new versions of yourself that aren't defined by what they did or didn't do. Start launching prototypes of a life that doesn't revolve around their absence. Will it be perfect? No. Will you still have hard days? Yes. Will there be moments when you miss the fantasy of what you thought it could be? Absolutely. But you'll be moving, you'll be building, you'll be becoming instead of waiting. And here's what's beautiful about this. Every day you invest in your own peace is a day that makes their eventual apology, if it ever comes, irrelevant. Because by the time they're ready to say sorry, you'll have already built a life that doesn't need it. You'll have already created a version of yourself that's stronger, wiser, more whole than you would have been if they'd apologized right away. Their refusal to give you what you needed forced you to find it within yourself. Their absence created the space for you to discover that you are enough, that you were always enough, that you never needed their validation to be worthy of peace and love and joy. This is the greatest paradox. The thing you thought would break you is actually what's going to make you. Their silence is teaching you to speak your own truth. Their refusal to see you is teaching you to see yourself. Their inability to value you is teaching you to value yourself independently of external validation. You are being forged in this fire, and when you emerge, not if,
When you will be someone who knows, deep in your bones, that you don't need anyone's permission to heal. You don't need anyone's acknowledgement to move forward. You don't need anyone's apology to find peace.
I think about Mars again. It's a barren, hostile planet. The atmosphere is poisonous. The radiation would kill you. There's no water on the surface, no obvious source of food, no infrastructure. By all conventional wisdom, it's impossible to build a civilization there. But we're going anyway. Not because it's easy, but because waiting for Mars to become hospitable on its own isn't a strategy. We have to create the conditions we need. We have to terraform our own future. You need to terraform your own peace. You need to create the conditions you need to thrive, regardless of what they do or don't do. You need to build the atmosphere of acceptance, the infrastructure of self-love, the ecosystem of healing, without waiting for anyone else to make it happen for you. This is radical responsibility. This is taking ownership of your emotional landscape and saying, I am the architect here. I am the engineer. I am the builder. And I'm going to create something beautiful, with or without your participation. When you do this, when you truly claim your power to heal independently, something magical happens. The apology you were waiting for stops being the point. It stops being the thing you need. It becomes, at most, a footnote in your story. Oh, that happened instead of a, this is what I'm waiting for. You'll look back on this time and realize that the waiting was the real injury. The original hurt was painful, yes, but the secondary wound, the one you kept reopening by waiting, by hoping, by checking, by imagining scenarios where they finally came through, that was the one that did the most damage. Every day you wait is a day you're choosing to keep the wound fresh. Every day you spend hoping they'll apologize is a day you're investing in their growth instead of your own. Every day you give them space in your mind is a day you're not fully present in your own life. And the tragic irony is that the person you're doing this for isn't even witnessing it. They're not seeing your patience. They're not moved by your grace. They're not even thinking about it the way you are. You're performing a one-person show for an empty theater, hoping that one day they'll walk in and see what you've been doing, but they're not coming to the show. They bought tickets to a different performance. They're at a different theater. They've moved on to a different production entirely. So who are you performing for? Who are you waiting for? Who are you trying to prove something to? The answer should be yourself. You should be the audience. You should be the one you're trying to impress, to honor, to serve. You should be the one whose approval matters. You should be the one deciding when the show is over. I believe in you. I believe in your capacity to do this hard thing. I believe you're stronger than you think, braver than you feel, and more resilient than you've given yourself credit for. I believe you've already survived the worst of it, the actual harm, and you're capable of surviving this too. The decision to stop waiting. Because that's what this is, really. It's a decision. It's not a feeling you wait to have. It's not a moment that comes to you. It's not something that happens when the conditions are right. It's a choice you make right now, in this moment, regardless of how you feel. You decide, I'm done waiting. I'm claiming my peace. I'm writing my own closure. I'm moving forward without you. And then you do it. Not perfectly, not all at once, not without setbacks or hard days, but you do it. You take one step, then another, then another. You redirect your thoughts when they spiral toward them. You invest your energy in things that actually serve you. You build a life that's so full, so rich, so aligned with who you are, that their absence becomes irrelevant. You become someone who looks at their silence and thinks, thank you for showing me who you are. Thank you for teaching me that I don't need you. Thank you for creating the space for me to discover my own power. You become someone who sees their refusal to apologize not as a reflection of your worth, but as a reflection of their capacity. And you feel compassion for them, not because you're a saint, but because you understand that anyone who can't acknowledge their impact on others is living in a very small world. And you've outgrown small worlds. Your world is expansive now. It's infinite. It's not limited by their inability to grow. It's not bound by their refusal to see. It's not defined by their silence. Your world is as big as your willingness to explore it, as rich as your capacity to experience it, as meaningful as your decision to live in it fully. This is the transformation. This is the evolution. This is the moment you stop being the woman who waited for an apology and become the woman who found peace anyway, who built it herself, who created it from nothing, who alchemized pain into wisdom, waiting into growth, silence into clarity. You are not a victim of their refusal to apologize. You are an architect of your own liberation. You are not trapped in their silence. You are freed by your decision to stop letting it matter. You are not small, you are infinite. And your peace, your real, deep, lasting peace, has been waiting for you to claim it all along. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to close your eyes and imagine yourself 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. Imagine yourself having claimed this peace, having built this life, having moved so far forward that this moment, this painful, stuck, waiting moment, is barely visible in your rearview mirror. Who is that version of you? What does she know that you're learning right now? What does she feel that you're moving toward? What has she built with all the energy you're about to reclaim from waiting? She's proud of you. She's grateful that you made the decision to stop waiting. She's thankful that you chose yourself. She's amazed at what became possible when you finally let go. She's you, the you that's waiting on the other side of this decision. The you that emerges when you stop making your peace dependent on someone else's growth. The you that always existed underneath the waiting, underneath the hope, underneath the pain. You don't need their apology to become her. You just need to decide that you're ready, that you're done, that you're choosing yourself. And when you make that decision, really make it, deeply make it, you'll understand what I've been trying to tell you all along. Peace was never on the other side of their apology. It was always here, inside you, waiting for you to stop looking outside and start building inside. You're the rocket, you're the fuel, you're the launch pad, you're the trajectory, you're the destination. You don't need anyone else's permission to lift off. You just need to ignite. And you're ready. Right now, you're ready. So stop waiting for them to set you free. You were never trapped by their silence. You were only trapped by the belief that you needed something from them to move forward. You don't. You never did. You already have everything you need. Your peace is not their apology. Your peace is your choice, your decision, your architecture, your creation. Build it, claim it, live it. Not tomorrow. Not when they finally understand. Not when the timing is perfect or the pain is gone. Now. Today. This moment. Because the truth is simple. Closure isn't something someone gives you. It's something you give yourself.